There only are a few games I play a second, third or even a fourth time. One of them, right next to the original XCOM UFO Defense, is BATTLETECH from Harebrained Schemes. After I randomly bumped into its lead writer Andrew and his super nice family a few months ago, we really had a good talk, thanks for that. I played it again, like for the 5th time, and honestly, so should you. Not just because it's a great game in general. Most games where you get to stomp around and blow things up with battle mechs are fun by default. Its real uniqueness comes from the story blending organically into the gameplay and genuinely making it better. It clearly wasn't just bolted on afterwards, which still happens far too often even in AAA productions. Experiencing a story that is this well written and just as well integrated into the gameplay already makes the game worth a full playthrough. And there's more.
Command interface initiated.
I'm not even surprised that the story often gets pushed to the back. Obviously, the primary gameplay loop comes first. What you actively do in the game has to be fun, right? So that's what gets built and tested first. But the narrative part often feels like it's stitched together later with a lot less care than it needs and deserves. Because on the surface, the important part is already done, right? This is not the case here. The story, for example, also has a time pressure element like the one of The Witcher 3, but it integrates it far better. Technically, there also is time pressure here. In practice, you also have all the time in the world. But because that was clearly anticipated, a few clever structural decisions make it far less noticeable. I'll keep the spoilers to a minimum. If anything, they'll be limited to the first hour. At its core, the story is a wonderfully simple tale of revenge and justice. And who doesn't like a proper revenge and justice tale? I certainly do.
For the Oregon people.
The Oregon Reach, a nation made up of several star systems at the edge of the inner sphere, is taken over by a ruthless dictator. And your mercenary unit is pulled into taking it back to free the oppressed and exploited people living there. And that's completely fine, you don't need some exotic twist to tell a good story. At the beginning, your small mercenary unit is facing an uncertain future. Your main employer no longer exists, and your dropship technically belongs to the banks. After a while, you get contacted by a mysterious, anonymous benefactor, and you're gradually drawn into the events surrounding the reconquest of the Oregon Reach. Now, a smart move, for example, is letting the whole thing play out on a planetary level. You're part of a larger conquest campaign and get deployed as kind of a special unit for the more difficult operations. That means that between the main missions, which usually revolve about liberating an entire planet, there's room to take on other contracts and build up your company. It doesn't feel artificial because the game makes it clear that the fighting continues in the background. Moving an entire army from one planet to another takes time, so these windows actually make sense within the story. The fact that you still have effectively unlimited time once the next main mission pops up, less so. But that's because I think they factored in player preference. Most people don't like time pressure. I'm a bit different in that regard, which is why I especially like Alien's Dark Descent and Phoenix Point, for example. But I also understand that I'm probably in the minority here. If you really want to, you can mod in a time limit, just as a side note. By how the main figures act and speak, you can also tell that the story comes from the same hands as Shadowrun Dragonfall and Shadowrun Hong Kong. Both excellent story-driven games, by the way. Many of the characters have a clearly recognizable voice, their own moral compass, and their own way of seeing the world. Even the pilots you can hire come with distinct personal traits that show up both in combat and in the additional events that happen in between missions. There are lots of little micro-stories that break up the longer transit times from one system to another, and they take the quirks of your crew into account. As the commander, you're often asked to make decisions that affect individual characters or the morale of the entire crew. It's about gaining or losing extra equipment, or like diffusing complex social situations. Depending on how events play out, pilots can gain additional traits and also lose them again. With your crew and your mechs, you fight your way through all corners of the periphery, hunt pirates, work for the great houses, upgrade your ship and your crew, and eventually, of course, take back the Oregon Reach. But along the way, your hands don't stay completely clean, and the game definitely has a few darker moments in store. And sometimes the best stories aren't even scripted. A pilot survives with one structure point left, a lucky headshot ends what would have been a losing fight, or a desperate charge actually works. What really takes BattleTech to the next level though is playing in Iron Man mode. You're limited to a single save file. Losing mechs hurts hard then, losing pilots even more. You're much quicker to hit the eject button and save the pilot instead of the machine. You move more carefully in general, because if you push forward too aggressively and enemy reinforcements show up, you can suddenly find yourself caught in a crossfire. And then things escalate fast. Within a single turn, what felt like a walk in the park can turn into a looming bankruptcy. Especially in the early or mid stages of the game, you're far from being a superhero squad that just steamrolls everything. One bad mission can mean weeks of downtime and a very unpleasant financial report. You're constantly weighing risk against payout, more salvage or more cash. Push the objective or play it safe. And if all that still isn't enough for you, you can mod the game into oblivion. Adding mods is much easier today than it used to be, since there's an integrated mod manager now. The only thing this game is missing is a sequel. Are you listening, harebrained? There are so many ways to refine the gameplay loop and expand the tactical layer. Until that happens, I'll probably have to play it a 6th time, this time with the BattleTech Extended mod. So if you enjoy tactical combat and a well-integrated story, get it. At this point it's dirt cheap, including all the DLCs, which are absolutely worth it. Have fun, don't blow up your reactor, and see you next time.